multiple I'm falling in love confessions, and some unpleasant parents. I'm here with your hometown's recap of The Bachelorette. Welcome back to another episode of Roses and Proposes. I'm your host, Kelly Johns, bringing you weekly recaps of Gabby and Rachel's journey to love. First up, Gabby and Jason in his hometown of New Orleans. They have fun walking around town, throwing beads to people off of a balcony, and then they meet Jason's dad at a park. His dad is immediately really emotional to see his son. He brings flowers to Gabby. He and Jason talk about the experience. Jason opens up about how it was really hard for him in the beginning, as we know, but that Gabby has really made it worth it. His dad is emotional the whole time. You can tell he's just so proud of his son and so happy for him. He mentions that he can see Gabby as his future daughter-in-law, and he tells us that he wants to be the best man in their wedding. He also mentions that there is so much warmth and ease about Jason when he's with Gabby. So really nice to hear that from his dad. And his dad is just super tender and sweet. And I think that's probably where Jason gets it from too. Later, Gabby goes to meet Jason's mom, sister, and the sister's boyfriend. The mom is also really emotional right off the bat. Gabby talks to the mom about how she was a little concerned that maybe Gabby's too outgoing and that the family wouldn't think that she's a good fit for Jason because he's more reserved. But the mom says she does think that that's a good balance. Then Jason talks to his mom and he's telling her that he and Gabby just really connect on a deep level, but he cannot see himself getting engaged and he does not want to. Which is totally understandable because they have barely known each other for just a month maybe at this point. The mom does say to Jason, well, picture your life without her. Can you see that? How does that make you feel? Which, okay, you can say that, but that doesn't mean he has to propose. They can just keep dating after the show. His family is just amazing. Gabby has a great time talking to all of them. Seems like she fits in really well, and afterwards she says that this has made her feelings grow even stronger for Jason. She tells us in her ITM that she is head over heels for him and that she is falling in love and it feels like a dream. Now it's time for Rachel's hometown with Zach. He takes her on a bike ride, which is reminiscent of their date from Amsterdam when they rode bikes through the tulips. And then they climb a ladder to the rooftop of a building to watch planes take off. Super cute. If you don't remember, on their first one-on-one, they bonded over telling the stories of their childhood where they both watched planes take off with their fathers. Later, of course, they go to meet Zach's family at his house, and it's honestly perfect. I don't have much to say here because it went amazingly. The parents loved her. Zach tells his parents that he's basically in love with Rachel. The mom tells Rachel that they will welcome her into the family, and then they go in the backyard and they watch home videos, just like, again, their first date. They have a projector set up and they're all in like lawn chairs, and they're watching videos of their journey so far and clips from the show. And of course, I have to mention that Zach's uncle is a famous actor, Pat Warburton. I think I'm saying that name right. Zach's dad says that he can see Rachel as Zach's future wife, and then Zach tells Rachel he is in love with her. Back to Gabby. Now she's with Johnny in his hometown of Palm Beach, Florida. They meet his family first. He wants to take her on a night date instead of day date. So they meet a lot of his family, his brothers that look just like him except with different hair colors. The parents note right away that Gabby and Johnny have really good chemistry. The dad talks to Gabby about the future and if Johnny were to get down on one knee, and Gabby's like, oh yeah, like we haven't talked about that yet, so interesting. And then Johnny talks to his mom also about the future, and he does say, you know, we get along great, we're always laughing, but I don't know if we're like there yet. Interesting to hear. I think this is kind of foreshadowing that Gabby and Johnny they really do have good chemistry, but it's deep down, I think, more of friend chemistry and less romantic / forever love. Later in the evening, Johnny takes Gabby on a boat ride, and she says in her ITM that she can see herself falling for Johnny. I think she's just saying that though. By the way, no hate to Johnny. He seems super nice, super fun. He's 25, Gabby's 31. I don't see it long term. And now we're on the Jersey boardwalk with Rachel and Tyler. They're playing lots of games, bumper cars, eating corn dogs and funnel cakes, and Rachel even wins a stuffed animal from a game. Tyler introduces her to some of his friends slash like coworkers, I guess. But she is not feeling 100% about this. Tyler, however, is so confident. He's telling the camera, this is the best day ever. I'm so confident. I'm 100% in on Rachel. I know like she's the one, like he is there. But after they hang out for a while and play all these games and seemingly are having a lot of fun, Rachel has to take a step aside. She's talking to producers. She's very upset, crying and just saying, for some reason, it's not clicking all the way for me. So she sits down on a bench with Tyler and he's like, thinking like, yeah, we're gonna chat again before we go meet my family. He's so stoked. He keeps telling her like, Rachel, you're the most amazing girl ever. I'm so sure about you. And she's like sitting there like, she's trying to get it out. And she's like, look, you're so great, but something's just not totally there for me. And it seems like it's taking him a while to understand that she is breaking up with him. And he just keeps complimenting her. And it really goes to show that he is just such a nice guy. I don't know if he understood and his go-to was just, okay, I know she's breaking up with me, so I'm just going to keep flooding her with compliments. Or if he really did not see this coming and was confused with where she was going with the conversation. But she did finally break it to him clearly. I'm sorry, I can't take this to the next level and meet your family because I know that's so important to both of us. And I'm going to have to end it now before we make it even more serious, yada yada. He took it well. He was very upset. I think he was blindsided, but he was just a true gentleman through it all and continued to compliment her. But then they had a really emotional goodbye, and of course, producers had to keep filming him as he went home to tell his family it was over. So first we see the family sitting there and they're stoked. They're like, oh, I can't wait to see him walk in. I can't wait to see them both smiling. And then he walks in alone and they still think like she's coming behind in a minute. And he's like, yeah, she's not coming. And they're just immediately like, what? So he explains what happened and they're supportive, but it is really sad. So we love you, Tyler. I think he's going to be king of paradise, honestly. Next was Gabby's hometown with Eric. This was a super emotional hometown. I think most viewers, like myself, were shedding many tears watching this hometown. We got to meet Eric's wonderful father, who unfortunately has passed away from terminal cancer this past July. It was really special that we got to see him in this hometown. Eric shared that he has learned so much about love through his parents and their forever commitment and unconditional love, and we really got to see that with them on screen. His dad had a really special moment with Gabby because she worked as an ICU nurse, and he was just saying how appreciative he is of ICU nurses and how special they are to him. Later that evening, Gabby and Eric go to a local restaurant or bar, sit outside on the patio, and share their feelings for each other again about how strong they are. And Eric does say, I am falling in love with you. And Gabby says it back. She says, I am falling in love with you too, Eric. This is the first time we see her say it back. I don't know if she said it back to Jason. Perhaps she did and we didn't see that because, you know, with editing, they like to make us think one way, that maybe one guy is definitely going to win, and then it doesn't turn out that way. So we'll see. And the last hometown is Rachel and Tino. And note here, we didn't actually get to see Rachel and Tino's day date at all, or their actual, just their one-on-one portion of the date. We only saw the meeting the parents because it was so dramatic. So this just does not go great for Rachel, unfortunately. She handled it like a champ, but Tino's parents were very hard on her. So first they sit down on the couch like they always do, and they're telling the parents, oh, we're so into each other. We immediately connected. There was a spark from the beginning, and the parents are just like, okay, like how? What do you mean? And they just they keep explaining themselves, but the parents keep questioning them. It's almost like nothing they say is going to be good enough. And Tino jokes to his dad, well, she's just going to send all the other guys home and I'm going to propose. And his dad was like, what? let's talk outside. So we see the dad and Tino talking outside. Tino saying that he really cares for Rachel. He can definitely see a future with her. And the dad's just like, what do you mean? How? What do you even know about her? Tino keeps giving good answers, but his dad's just like, well, no, that doesn't make sense. It's just a fairy tale. Rachel is talking to the mom. Very similar situation here. She's asking, well, what do you even know about Tino? What do you like about him? And Rachel, you can tell she's nervous. So her answer is kind of presentational, almost like a reporter, but she handles it well. And she's like, well, he's very loving and caring and positive. And the mom just is like, okay, yeah, well, you can say that, but whatever. And then Rachel's like, oh my gosh, the mom grilled my ass. And then she gets grilled even harder by the dad. He asks the same sort of questions. How do you even connect so quickly? What do you even know about him? So Rachel's explaining, well, this is an expedited process. You're kind of forced to connect quickly and put it all out there. And here's the things I really like about Tino. And he kind of cuts her off and is just like, look, no offense. You're saying everything right, but it just doesn't make sense. So she's just like, okay, thank you so much. And he's like, yeah, no problem. I did a parody of this scene, so check it out on my YouTube shorts or my Instagram or TikTok. This was so painful. She said, like, I wanted to cry the whole time, and honestly, I think we all did because it was so awkward. Oh, and the dad also asks her, do you want an engagement out of this? And she says, yes, that is something I'm looking for. The leads always say that. Honestly, I don't think that most of them really want or are like, yes, I have to get engaged. But they have to say that as the leads. And the dad is just like, well, this is your second go around. And so what if you just like want to get married? And he almost just like says that she's desperate. It's super rude. Afterwards, Tino and Rachel sit outside together on a bench and he's like, oh, my parents adored you. She's like, Tino, what? No, they didn't. Stop. And he's like, no, they did. And then I think we're all like, is he lying, or are there parts that we just didn't see? Maybe a lot got edited out and we were only shown these rough, awkward parts because, they can totally do that. But Tino does say, look, Rachel, I should have told you this weeks ago. And everyone's like, what? Of course, he says, I am falling in love with you. And she says it back. She says, I'm falling in love with you too, Tino, and I have been for a while. So is Tino going to be the winner? I think so. And then we see a preview for next week, Fantasy Suites. Of course, we see clips of some people saying, well, I don't know if I can be here if you sleep with him or her, whatever. We always hear that. It's just like an expected storyline at this point. Then we see Jesse tell Rachel, you're the only Bachelorette here. So some people are like, did Gabby leave? I don't think she leaves. I think that she maybe got sick, got COVID, or just something happened where she just doesn't show up for that one rose ceremony or something and has to postpone it. And forgot to point out, Avon's hometown will be next week before the Men Tell All. So I guess they just couldn't fit it into this episode. Kind of weird. Avon gets his own little section. And that's it for your hometowns recap, minus Avon. I'll see you guys next week for the Avon hometown and the Men Tell All. Please leave a comment with your predictions for the rest of the season, your thoughts on everything so far. Please subscribe to my channel. Check out my parodies as well. I'll see you guys next week.